So I may or may not have created the new fastest sorting system in all of Minecraft Bedrock. I mean, just picture all your industrial farms feeding into this one simple machine. With a couple breaking up chests, you can see all the items flowing in. The lamps are going to start flashing because the system is sorting thousands of items. This magical sorter behind me, you can see, is sorting all 3,456 items in those two double chests. And it is doing that at a rate of over 1,000 items a minute on the slow end, and in the worst case scenarios, with its max speed being technically infinite. So many of you guys are probably wondering, how did I get this system before me to become so fast? And well, it is all within the hoppers. So what sets the speed of any sorter out there is the amount of time it takes items to get from point A to point B. So here I have a top chest. If I aim to put a stack of bamboo, you'll see that it's transferring 2.5 items per second through the hopper into the chest right below it. And so that is the max speed of this system right here. Which really means that hopper speed is the max speed you can go. Or is it? See, according to Minecraft mechanics, if you shove a hopper and a boat on wheels into a crafting table, then you get a hopper minecart, which makes a hopper work at quadruple the speed of a normal hopper. This means that one hopper, so one hopper minecart, will act as 4 hoppers working at the exact same time. So the speed is now set by how fast a hopper minecart can pick up items, but we can go even further than that. Hopper minecarts not only work at quadruple the speed of a normal hopper, but even have another mechanic to them that they can be stacked right on top of each other. There's one hopper minecart, there's 2, then 3, then 4, then 5, and we can keep going on this technically endlessly, meaning that the system's max speed is technically endless. Now the reason I say technically here is because hopper minecarts are entities, which means that there is a max number that you can have in a world without the game crashing. So I've tested this system with 1 hopper minecarts, 2, 3, 4, 5, and even all the way up to 10. And my game has worked just fine, but of course, if you are to add too many hopper minecarts, then of course, at some point, your game's going to crash. And you can see that gradually with more and more hopper minecarts, the system will get gradually faster and faster. So with a full double chest of items, it'll take 196 seconds in order for the system to sort. With 2 hopper minecarts, it'll take 180 seconds. With 3, 155. 4, 146. 5, 130. 10, 120. And so on. So again, I've only tested this system with up to 10 hopper minecarts because I didn't want to lag my world out too much. But again, this system could possibly be even faster if you are to have more and more and more hopper minecarts. Now, even like this, with a possibly endless max speed, there's still one more key feature I used in the system that resulted in it sorting over 1,000 items per minute, and that was the water stream. Now, the water stream plays 2 major roles throughout the system, with the main one being just delivering the items to each of their sorters. So if I throw in a bunch of melons, you'll see the water stream will take that right to its sorter right there. Now, the reason I used a water stream here instead of a hopper chain or a hopper minecart is the fact that an infinite number of items can use the water stream at the same time with no delay. So, for example, if I am to simply place a chest here, you can see this is full of a bunch of bamboo, kelp, and melon. All those items can use the water stream and be transported to their sorter at the exact same time with no delay. And if I wanted to, I could send another full chest, and another, and well, you guys get the point. And the water streams also let us use one more amazing feature in hoppers, and that is the instant pickup. While hoppers, like normal hoppers, might move items 2.5 items per second, and that's how fast they will withdraw items from a container, if they are thrown right on top of a hopper, it will pick it up instantly and hold it within the hopper until it can be therefore moved at that slow pace through into the next chest. And that is, of course, the exact same with normal hopper minecarts. You can see I have a block, and then right here, if I am to throw the items, they will be picked up instantly, being held within the hopper minecart, and then slowly transported into the chest. Now there is one final other mechanic in the reason why we are using a water stream here, and that is a result of a bug when it comes to hopper minecarts. So if I am to lock this hopper minecart, you can see right now I am sorting for sand, and then these are filter blocks to make sure only sand can come through. Now if I am to just throw sand right on top of this block, you'll see that sand will stay there, won't get sucked up until the hopper is unlocked. And then, of course, the hopper minecart is going to pick it up, which is perfectly fine, and that's exactly what it is supposed to do. Now, the one bug comes whenever there is an item that you're not sorting. So, for example, red sand. I am not sorting red sand. Of course, if I am to unlock the hopper, it's not going to pick up that red sand. But if I am to then put some sand right on top of it, and sand, again, is what it is actually sorting, you'll see that it does not pick up the sand. And again, this is a bug when it comes to hopper minecarts. When there is one item already on top of it, it is going to be focusing only on that one item. So it's continually trying to put that red sand in, and it doesn't realize that it can put the normal sand in the hopper minecart. And so because of that bug, we need to have the water stream going in a loop around the corners, and that way the items are mixed around, and eventually all the items are going to find their home in the correct filter, and the water streams also space out the items better. That way there's fewer stacks on top of a hopper minecart, and there's a higher likely chance that the hopper minecart will realize it can pick up the item that is sitting right on top of it. Of course, how the system operates is a simple item filter. So it's waiting for bamboo to come into this hopper minecart, and if the signal strength behind it gets too great, so you can see pair detecting signal strength, it'll go back, activate the piston, which is therefore turning off a torch, turning off the light, which is also turning off this activator rail, which means the hopper minecart underneath it is going to suck out the items very quickly. Then the hopper minecart underneath is going to do the same, and then from here it's going to be split into 4 hoppers to eventually be deposited into all 4 of these double chests. And that is how the system can sort over 1,000 items per minute. Now, like I said in the intro, that is only on the worst case scenario. And the reason goes back to the bug I mentioned earlier about how the hopper minecart will not pick up an item for what they are filtered for. So when testing the system, I dropped all 3,456 items or a double chest at the exact same time. And that means the bug played more into effect because you can see they're all stacked right on top of each other, meaning that the hopper minecarts are not always going to pick up their items every loop, where in a normal scenario, the items would trickle in a couple stacks at a time, and the system would sort the items much quicker and more reliably. I did my testing like this to make sure that the system could handle any sort of item input, whether it is all at once or it is in groups. And I also, for my testing, I did it with a varying number of stacks. So for my double chest, you can see I have 9 stacks of bamboo, 9 stacks of kelp, 9 stacks of a lot of things, and then I did some random numbers just to see how well the system can handle different numbers of items when coming all at once. Now, like I said earlier in this video, the number of hopper minecarts you have in your system will greatly change the speed. So if you want to know all the statistics for whether you should have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or even 10 hopper minecarts in your system, I'll have all that stuff in the description of this video for you to figure that out and decide how many hopper minecarts you want in your system. And in all my testing, I also did it with only 1 item filter per item. So if you really wanted to speed up the system, you could simply have 2 columns for sugarcane, and of course that's going to make the system work even faster, because of course the more slots the item can go in, the faster the system is going to sort those items. So that is it for the overview and explanation of this system. If you learned something or you just enjoyed this video so far, please go down and give this video a like and subscribe. It means a ton, and it helps me get more videos out to you guys. Also, down in the description, I have a world download and material list, so go check that out if you're interested. But with that, let's start the tutorial. So before we get started, you probably want to have an area cleared out for this entire system. So the entire sorter is its length all depends on how many different filters you want. So for example, in this scenario, I have 8 different sections or 8 different filters for 8 different items. So I do 8 times 2, so that is 16 plus 1. So the entire length of the system is 17. Now the reason for that is we need to make sure there's a block to the left and to the right of every single one of these hopper minecarts so they do not move. So for example, if I wanted to have only 4 sections or 4 filters. So I have one for sugarcane, one for bamboo, one for potatoes, and then one for melons. Then you would simply do 4 times 2, so that's 8. 8 plus 1 is 9, so my entire length would be 9. Now when it comes to height, the height will never change. It is always 9 blocks tall. So that's having 2 double chests, your hoppers, the entire sorter, all the way up to your water stream here. Now for the width is going to be 5 blocks long, but if you are building this in a really laggy area and for some reason the filters are not working, or you have a lot of hopper minecarts, you might need to extend this out an additional 1 block, so just be aware that this is either going to be 5 or 6 blocks wide. Now before getting any further into this build, there is one slight game feature that you should be aware of, and this is the standard placement of minecart rails. So whenever you place a rail into the world, it will always standardly be in position facing north to south. So if you want to just place in your rails and do nothing, all you need to do is have your system set up so one end is facing north, one is facing south. That way it's ready for all you have to do is place a rail, and all of a sudden you are good to go to start building. Now if you want to have your entire system facing east to west, then what we're going to have to do is whenever the rail is getting placed down, you have to redirect it using a second rail, which means that it's going to be a little bit more work in order to get your rails facing the proper direction. That way the hopper minecart won't accidentally roll off. So just keep in mind that if you have your entire system facing east to west, there is a little bit more work involved. But if you want the easiest or the simplest route, just build your entire system facing from south to north. And then that way, all you have to do is simply place the rail down, and you are good to go. Now for this tutorial today, I'm going to be doing a total of 5 sections, or 5 filters, with melons, pumpkins, sugarcane, bamboo, and kelp being the 5 items I am sorting. Now if you haven't realized yet, this entire system is the exact same thing repeated over and over again. So I'm going to build up one section, and then I'm going to time-lapse over building all the other sections because it is the exact same thing. Now for each of your sections, you're going to start off by putting in all your chests. Now for this tutorial, I only have 4 chests put in, but of course you can extend the chest down or make this section be as big or as small of an area you want for as many or as few chests as you need. Now the hoppers that go into each of these chests, I have 4 hoppers coming in right down the back, and then 2 hoppers going down the top, and then 2 more going straight up. And this is going to be our platform for our hopper minecart. Now we are going to repeat the exact same thing for every single one of our sections. And when it comes to the final block, don't put any chest or anything there. That is simply going to be there in order to hold your hopper minecart in. So this block is going to have no chest and no hoppers. Now on the very back end of these hoppers, we're going to place some variation of some wooden fencing. And there's just a couple more fences we have to place, so if we come to our 1 extra block, come straight up, leave a gap, put 1 fence, leave a gap, put 1 fence, leave a gap, put 1 fence. And by doing this, on your very edge of your entire system should be a fence. If not, you have one too many chests somewhere in this system that is not needed, and you just need to go back and make sure that you have 2 chests per section. That way your fences and the rest of your chests look exactly like mine. So next we're going to put in our first stages of our hopper minecarts. So coming from the opposite end where we have our extra block, so not on that side, but on our left side, I'm going to put in a rail. And again, because I'm going from east to west, I'm going to have to do some rail finagling. I'm going to temporarily break that fence. That way I can redirect the rail the opposite direction. I'll push the hopper minecart in, break the rails, and I'm simply going to push it right on into the corner. Then I will replace that fence, go to the next slice, and I'm going to do it all over again with 2 rails, temporarily break our fence posts, then place in our hopper minecart, break our 2 temporarily rails, then simply push in your hopper minecart into position, and we are going to repeat this for every single one of these slices. Okay, so once you have placed in all your hopper minecarts, it should look something like this. Now we're going to stop working on our hopper minecarts and come around to the back side, and we're going to place some pistons and torches. Now, wherever there is an empty gap, so wherever you put your rail in, we're simply going to come back 2 blocks, and we're going to have a piston facing towards our extra block right here at the end. Now, you are simply going to put block piston on each one of these, so block, a piston, a block, piston, a block, a piston. You're going to do this for every single one of your sections. And then when it comes to the very end, you want none of those pistons to move, so then you need to put an immovable block like obsidian, and then on the side of each one of those pistons, we are going to put a redstone torch. Now, the reason we have these blocks in between is to help make sure that the pistons cannot push the piston in front, and to make sure that those pistons make no noise whatsoever. They do not need to be immovable. I will repeat, they do not need to be some sort of obsidian. They can be any block, as long as there's no gap in between the piston. The piston is still trying to push every single one of these blocks. Now, next, on top of all these torches, I'm going to put some redstone lamps. These redstone lamps are going to flash on and off whenever the system is sorting. I always like to have some sort of interaction thing that I can see whenever the system is working. So I can just go, ooh, that light has turned off. That means I am sorting all my pumpkins right now. I find that something cool to look at and see. If you do not want the redstone lamps, you can replace these with solid blocks. It does not affect the system, but it is just something really cool to look at when the entire system is working. Okay, so next we are going to come around to the side of each of these torches and place a glass block. This does need to be a glass block. It does not have to be colored, but it cannot be a solid block. Next, on top of every single one of these glass blocks, we need to have a downward facing piston. And this, of course, is temporary, but we just need to put one there in order to push the glass block into the hopper minecart. And if you placed your hopper minecarts right, we should not be able to move the hopper minecart once the glass block is in there by accident. Now, next, on every single one of your sections or filters, we need to have an activator rail. Now, here's another instance where if you have your entire system facing from north to south, this will save you a lot of time and maybe a little bit of struggle. But if you have it facing from east to west, these rails all need to be redirected. Now, the easiest way to do this is to just take 2 blocks come out, place a temporary rail there, and then we're going to have a piston facing sideways. This piston is going to push the rail in. Of course, a rail cannot be placed on top of a fence, so it's going to get broken, but that tiny bit of time it is sitting right there, it's going to redirect those 2 rails, and we need to do that for every single one of the remaining rails of this entire system. Now, once you have all your rails placed in and facing the correct direction, you're going to put a solid block and then a temporary one on top of every single one of these fence posts. And then you also need to repeat this for the final slice. So we're just going to put our 2 extra blocks right here. And that is to make sure, of course, whenever a minecart is placed here, it doesn't fall out. Okay, this is the point where we're going to put in our varying number of hopper minecarts. So if you haven't done so already, go down in the description box of this video, check out the different rates for a different number of hopper minecarts, and decide how many hopper minecarts you want in your system. I'm going to be showing how to do 1 or 4, but the process to having any more or any less is the exact same. So if you're going to have only 1 hopper minecart per slice, congratulations, you took the easy way out. All you have to do is simply come over and place 1 hopper minecart on every single one of these rails. Now, if you chose to do 2 or more hopper minecarts per slice, it's going to be a little bit more complicated than that. What we're going to do is grab a temporary block and place it on top of every single one of these rails, except the very last one. We're going to have 1 more temporary block right there. Then I'm going to place a bunch of powered rails right on top of this line, coming all the way over to the very end. Then at the very end, we're going to have 1 more block, rail, and then 2 blocks right there. Now, all that's left to do is simply count out however many minecarts you want. So I want 4, so 1, 2, 3, 4. All those hopper minecarts are going to come all the way to the end, straight into the box. Then all we have to do is break 2 rails, and just like that, we are ready to do the next one. And just place 1, 2, 3, 4. And that is how you are going to place in all your hopper minecarts for this entire part of the system. And of course, when you're done, you can break the final bit of the rail, and then replace the final rail with the block, And then when you're completely done, your system should look something like this. Now on top of every single one of these hopper minecarts, you need to put one glass block, and this does need to be a glass block. Now there is some instances where you can see here, I am left clicking, but it thinks I'm left clicking at the hopper minecart. So this is a little bit buggy, so I'm going to place the block one block above, and then what we're going to do is grab a piston, have it facing down, put a redstone block up, and push it right into position. This is only an instance if you have more than one hopper minecart, and it's just something I've run into every so often. I'm not sure if it's just me, but if it is the same for you too, then, well, you're going to have to do, again, some more finagling with pistons in order to get the blocks in where you need them to be. So we have finally gotten over the most complicated minecart mechanic parts, and all that's really left to do is to put in our filters themselves. So on each one of these blocks, you're going to need a detector rail. And of course, if you're facing from the west, you're going to do some rail finagling by simply just putting a rail here temporarily in order to get the rails to face the correct direction. And then you need to come down and make sure that there is exactly one hopper minecart on top of every single activator rail. And there can only be one hopper minecart. If there's more than one, the filtering system will not work. Now, if you run into the issue where, again, Minecraft thinks that the hitbox of the hopper minecart is up here, which means you can't actually place a hopper minecart down, then simply put a normal rail right there, put a hopper minecart, push it over, put another hopper minecart, it'll go over by itself, and then replace the center block, and that is an easy way to get around any sort of bugs that might happen when you are trying to place all your hopper minecarts right on top of every single one of these rails. Now, once you have gotten past that step, you are free to break all these temporary blocks we have here, because those are no longer needed. Now we need to put in the redstone for the filters themselves, so on the back of every single one of these hopper minecarts, you are going to have a comparator, then we're going to have a glass block, solid block with 2 bits of redstone dust around top of that, and that is going to complete your simple item filter. So this is the one system that if you have more than 5 hopper minecarts, you might need to change something. Now this can also happen because if you're on a really laggy world, but basically the hopper minecarts down below are going to react faster than the redstone signal strength will turn off, and it's going to completely break your minecart hopper filter, so it's going to either take some of your filter items, or there's going to be no items in your very first slot. So what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to replace this redstone dust with a solid block. Then we're going to break that glass block and redstone dust. We'll have one more glass block, and then 2 more solid blocks right here. And what we have done is made this entire circuit work from 2 bits of redstone dust to 3 bits of redstone dust. Just by adding that additional 1 more bit of redstone dust gives this comparator time for it to shut off and to stop the minecarts underneath it from sucking all the items out, therefore breaking the filter. So if you have less than 5 hopper minecarts, then you do not need to worry about making this slight modification. But if you do, then I would highly recommend you guys do this, because it is something that you might run into. And if you're just on a laggy world or something, and the system's not working for you, try this. It probably will fix it. But again, if you have less than 5 hopper minecarts like I have, then don't worry about this alternative design, and just build the original one like I showed first. And just like that, we have all the redstone done for this entire system. Now we just need to put in our water stream, which I'm building with blue ice. You can do this with packed ice too, but again, if you want to make this system as fast as possible, blue ice is the way to go. Now you're just going to come all the way around, so there's a straight line right on top all the way to your very end. Then we're going to come back 2 blocks, and then we are simply going to complete the loop and make our very long donut, or a very long 0. Once you have placed in all your ice for your water stream, we are then going to add in a railing. So this is, of course, to keep the water and then all your items in. So you're going to need a center railing, so no items fall in the center. And then, of course, you're going to need an outer railing. And then this just needs to be 1 block tall and just extend it completely around your donut. Now, when it comes to how we place in our water buckets, there is a strategy when doing this. So whenever the items are going around, where they are slowing down the most is right at the corners, because of course that's where they have to go. Stop, take a left-hand turn, go, stop, take a left-hand turn. So we want to make this this part of the system as fast as possible. So we are going to have the water stream stop right at the corner, and then we're going to have that go straight into a fresh water stream. That way, it's going to take a hard left turn, and then it's going to take a pretty decent hard left turn as fast as possible. And we're going to do the same on the other end, except we are going the opposite direction. We're going from the front to the back, and then the water stream doesn't make it all the way, so I'm just going to pick a random spot and then put in one more water stream, just so that there is a high-powered strength of water everywhere along the entire path. And we're going to have to do it one more time on the back end as well. Now, there is one final step to finish this entire system, and that, of course, is setting up all our item filters. So, in order to do that, you can either use an item that's never going to come through the system, or you can be a little bit safer and instead place an anvil down. Then, in this anvil, we're going to put some random item that you don't care about, and just rename it something so, of course, no item that no redstone blocks named subscribe is going to come through the system, meaning that the item filters will never break. But honestly, guys, if you've made it to this far in the video, subscribe! Okay, enough plugins. Let's finish this build. In each of these filters, you're going to need to take the item that you are filtering. So we got watermelon. So I'm going to put it in my melon. And I'm just going to take the subscribe. Just put one into every single one of those slots. I'm going to do that for every single one of these. So you can see there I got pumpkin. And you can see how fast the system is working with 4 hopper minecarts sucking the items out super fast, making the system even faster than it would be with only 1 hopper minecart. And now all that's left to do is to simply come down, grab a chest full of a bunch of items that we need to sort, throw them into the sorter, and just like that, we can see that the entire system is flashing, lights are happening, and we can see that we are sorting out all our melons, from all our pumpkins, from all our sugarcane, from all our bamboo, from all our kelp, at a crazy fast rate. And that's going to do it for this video, guys. If you enjoyed this video, go ahead and give this video a like and subscribe. It helps me out a ton. But this has been Rock Builder, and I'll see you all in the next one.